I just want to turn our attention to Kyven and Mark Hall. So this question's for you guys. Have you ever experienced racism in a wrestling setting? So we'll start with Kyven.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced racism in a wrestling setting. I have two like very vivid experiences with it. One was my senior year of high school. I was at the Iowa High School State Tournament. I was the number one guy. I was undefeated in the semifinals, and I had pinned everybody up to that point in the state. So I had all pins. I just pinned the defending state champ at the weight class. And I'm wrestling. The match isn't going essentially how I wanted to. I'm not dominating. I hadn't been like the third period up by less than like 10 points all year. And the match is getting sticky. And late in the match, I get taken down. So now I'm losing. I get up. I get away. Now it's tied. And we get in a scramble, and the guy has my leg. I'm watching the clock instead of wrestling. And I remember the guy doing a limp arm. He's on a single. He does a limp arm. And I like barrel over to my hip, like as the clock's going to 0. And like one ref comes in, yells 2. The backup ref comes in, is like, no 2. And I'm like, in that like quick time period, I'm like, take out my mouthpiece. I'm like, I just lost, like just in complete shock. When the other ref comes in and yells 2, or no 2, I'm like, all right, I get it. I get a second chance, essentially. Put my mouthpiece back in, take the kid down in overtime, win the match, go on to the semifinal or go on to the finals. And while I'm walking off the mat, this kid was from Indianola. Their crowd is right in front of the mat at Wells Fargo, so they're right on top of the mat. And I hear this man look at me and he yells, "You were tired," and he yells the N-word. And I was just like I kind of like paused, and I was like, "Yep, sure was, still won." And I was just like furious, and like I tried to like go up into the stands. And my dad grabbed me. And like took me off to the back and was like, that basically just told me like it doesn't matter. Security went and grabbed the man, which happened to be the kid's uncle, and they took him out of the arena, threw him out for that comment. And it still bothers me to this day that happened, just because like I'm a 17-year-old kid, and this is a wrestling match. It's a wrestling match. It's not life or death. And this man that's supposed to be grown is calling me the N-word. My second instance was in college. The Big 12 championships were at Oklahoma State, down in Stillwater. And that week, the championship started on, I think, Friday we had the Big 12 duels. Saturday was the Big 12 championships. That Sunday, I was back home in Waterloo. My dad, that was my sophomore year, my dad was dealing with the cancer, and we had took him to the hospital. So at that point, I knew that my dad was more than likely going to pass within the week. And we get down to the Big 12s. The first day, which is duels, I wrestled Blake Rochalt from Oklahoma State, and I beat him. Questionable match, but just like I had beat him already once in Ames. I beat him this time. And I'm not in like the proper mind frame to wrestle. Like I'm literally waiting and expecting a call to come from home saying your dad passed away and you weren't there because you were wrestling. And so I'm really having a hard time at that point dealing and sifting through the emotions that I'm feeling. And so I think this all led to it. And so the next day we're getting ready for the Big 12 tournament. It's starting to happen. Everything's going. I'm in the finals with Blake Rochalt. And I remember I called injury timeout. And everybody probably thought I called injury timeout because I was tired, right? The old adage is, chocolate melts, right? But I called injury timeout because I was like sick. I was sick to my stomach from some food that I ate. And the crowd's booing me. They're like yelling at me, da da da. And I'm just like taking my time because like I know I don't call injury timeout for being tired. And we come back to the center, and I look at the crowd. I'm like, he's not gonna win. And we finish the match. Like we get chippy at the end. Rochalt's calling me B word and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, all right, bro. Like we can go. Like you can come see me in the locker room. It really don't make me no difference. Like I already rolled you up about 3 times in wrestling. Like you can come see me in the locker room. Like it is what it is. And then we're walking off the mat, and I'm walking underneath, you know, how Gallagher sits kind of on top of you. I'm walking back into the locker room, and a dude yells down from it the N-word. And I'm just like, are we serious right now? Like people like have no idea. Like, and like at that point, again, I was like enraged, furious, like ready to go up in the stands because like you have no idea what I'm dealing with right now. Like, I don't even want to be wrestling. My dad's about to pass away. I could really care less about wrestling, representing, you know, at that point, Iowa State wrestling because I'm just angry, right? Like I'm about to lose my father. And then you got another grown man that's talking to a 20-year-old young man calling him the N-word. And so those were the two like vivid explanations where I experienced like point blank racism in wrestling, and they stick out to this day. Mark, what were your experiences like?
Yeah, I I have two, and one when I was like a little younger, and then one of recent. So I used to wrestle in Kentucky my 7th grade year. I had moved there because in Kentucky you can wrestle high school at the high school level and like middle school grades. So and I didn't really realize it at the time, but one thing I like vividly remember is just like is my dad always just like saying to me like, man, I hope like this. He knew the rest of the name, but I can't really remember it. But like, just remember him saying like, I hope this ref isn't at this tournament, isn't reffing our matches. You know, because for me, it wasn't like a conversation that we would go too in depth about. But as I got older, I kind of realized why he didn't want that ref there. There was plenty of times where, you know, it's just like making like blatantly poor calls against African Americans, and yeah, it's just like something small, but I mean, in a sense, like it's not small. There are like historically bad refs in wrestling, but there are great refs in wrestling, obviously. But for someone to make like poor choices towards someone because of the color of their skin, that's what kind of like once I got older, I realized, you know, there's people out there like that. And then another one, I was wrestling. This year. We were wrestling at Iowa. It was like, and I'm sitting in the back end ready to wrestle at Carver Hawkeye. And it's me, like 4 or 5 of my teammates just getting ready. One had already wrestled. So, you know, just a group of us just sitting in the back, relaxing, doing our pre-match stuff right after halftime or right before halftime. And this kid who was going out to do like the big like bubble ball thingy or whatever, like running around like a chicken with head cut off with a big old bubble around himself. He like, I remember this like vividly. He just stares me down, goes, "Mark Hall, you suck, B word," and walks off. And to me, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was racism, maybe it wasn't. But for me, I mean, there's me and 5 other teammates back there getting ready to wrestle, and he chose me to say that too. And to me, like, it just like, it rocked me. I had like, I was seeing red. I remember Coach Casey just kind of telling me, like, just relax. Like, you got to wrestle. There's obviously a bigger thing. Like, don't listen to it. Go put your headphones in, go sit in the back, whatever. And that affected me big. Everyone's seen that match. I go out. I'm furious. I throw camera. I threw him too hard, and that's usually a position I'm really good at. I just threw him too hard, just from like the blind rage that I had from that type of encounter. And to me, like I said, maybe it was racism, maybe it wasn't, but there's no room for that in a college wrestling setting when, there's that kind of thing going on in the world. So those are two like pretty big examples that I've been a part of and that I've been able to go through and learn from. And sad that anyone would have to go through something like that.
Yeah, I've definitely felt it in the Iowa and Carver for sure as well. So I understand what you're saying.
Hey guys, like we were talking about before we got on here, if others wanted to speak and just kind of hearing back, and even we spoke on it, like how a lot of this brings up a lot of either past things that happened. It just dawned on me a situation I was in even younger, and it's important to bring to light just how we were talking about Kenny's. He's first coming up on an all-black team, and I was in a similar situation, being around an all-black team. And as we progress and get through the sport, obviously color kind of fades, and you're around predominantly white guys. So I remember being in a setting, junior duels or one of those dual tournaments, and where I think it was me and maybe two other black wrestlers, right? And we have the breaks in between the matches, and you're getting set up to prepare for the next match, and the whole shuffle of people switching match and whatnot, a kid, he loses his phone, and me and two other kids we're the only black people on this mat, and he's like, "Hey guys, I know you guys took my phone. Can you give me my phone?" And when you look to your left and your right, and you're the only black people, it's hard to defend yourself, right? Whereas you're looking to your left, your right, and most of the time when we do go on these travels, we're with our coaches who most of the time are going to be white, that are bringing us to these events, and there's this big back and forth. Give my phone. I know you took it. No, we didn't. And the fact that we're in a younger setting, and this same kid is like, "All right, guys, I know you guys took my phone. Stop being black." Like, right? That sticks with you. You're like, so then it comes a whole nother thing. And at a young age, when an African American or a black wrestler can realize that and has to deal with that, that's hard, right? Because then, like Mark Hall was saying, you're bringing that rage into the match, and the match I remember the match just being crazy afterwards, and everyone getting into the face just because they're bringing in that outside of what just happened. And when we black wrestlers have to deal with that outside connotation of what we are and who we are, people automatically assume that just because, oh, we're black, we're going to do these devious things. And for this kid, obviously, to come across the mat and just of all people there to say that he knows we stole his phone, that we have his phone, that just kind of tells you about, just the kind of things that are how people are being raised in their house and what they're used to seeing, and how we need to spread this awareness. And I thought I'd just share that with you guys and this group of men.